Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're going to be seeing?
Well, first we should introduce Mr. Smith.
Oh, Mr. Smith!
There you go. Mr. Smith.
The mysterious Mr. Smith.
Eric and I went on a press tour recently. We went to LA and New York and San Francisco, and we showed a bunch of different magazines. Of course, you saw the footage, the coverage that's been out there, the different articles and stuff like that. So what we're going to show you now is a little bit of what we showed them then, which is a run through of what the tools are like and what they can do. So Eric is going to start with the most basic of the tools. This is a voxel-based game, so you would pretty much expect that you'd be able to stack voxels on top of each other, which you can absolutely do. And that's what Eric is showing right now. Now, because our game is different, we're able to change the voxel brush size, so we can add all kinds of crazy little detail by just using the mouse wheel to scroll up and down and be able to change the voxel brush size. It's very, very simple. You get used to it really easily, and you can set up all kinds of detail. And then, of course, there's another brush. If you notice, there's a hotbar on the bottom of the screen there. Those are just simple numbers, 1 through 7. The one on the end doesn't count, it's temporary. The number 3 tool there is the delete tool. So it's just like the voxel tool, but you can delete shapes of different sizes. So that's what Eric is showing right now. Sorry, Mr. Smith.
The mysterious Mr. Smith.
And you can, of course, delete terrain and stuff too, but deleting terrain does not always do wonderful things for you, because it can be really hard to put back together, because matching the slope and everything like that is difficult if you're just laying down blocks. So we have a heel brush, which is kind of like, well, basically it restores the game back to the way that the server knew it was before you started messing around and making changes. So as you move this brush around through the world, you're healing it. Even the blocks that he placed get restored back to the way they were before you touched anything. And then the tool after that, number 5 there, is the smoothing tool. Now you can flip really easily between block or sphere brushes by just hitting a simple key, but once you have that, then you can deform the vertices on the flies and actually round out the edges, make things look eroded or perfectly round, and it's very, very simple, very easy to use. And we also have undo and copy and paste and everything like that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first we wanted to show you the second to the last tool, which is the painting tool, which is extremely useful. A lot of times when you make an object, like for instance, when you first start the game, you might want to build stuff out of common stone because it's really, really easy to get. But what you really wanted was a diamond pillar. So what you could do is you could build it out of stone real quick, and then you can come back with the paintbrush later on. And by using the paintbrush, you're actually swapping out the materials that the voxels are made out of. So you're not just painting on the surface, you're actually transforming those volumes of areas into other materials. Now you have to have gathered them, and that's why you might basically build it out of stone first and then swap it out for diamond later after you gathered it or bought diamond from other players. But this is the way you can do things. And then last but not least, there's this really cool tool called a line tool. When we first started building the game, we started out kind of the way that you've seen in other block building games, where we have just square cubes and slanted surfaces. But that meant we could really only do 90-degree angles and 45-degree angles, and it just didn't look right when we made villages and stuff like that. We wanted arbitrary angles. We wanted to be able to make, 30-degree angle or 37-degree angles or whatever we wanted to do. So what we did was develop this line tool, and by using it, you can select any 2 polygons and arbitrarily create an angle between them, which is really, really powerful. And in fact, because the voxel brush size is changeable, you can actually change the size of the endpoints on that bevel and be able to make really cool tapered surfaces. And that can be really powerful when you start making buildings and roof lines and all these different things. And then last but not least, we have one more extremely powerful tool, which seems like a no-duh, but you can select stuff. And so you can basically use the select brush and then be able to grab the different faces or the handles on the corners and be able to change the volume that you have selected. Once you have an area selected, you can use any of the other tools down there on your toolbar to be able to affect that selection area. Eric just basically filled it in. He used the shape tool to be able to click that selection volume and then filled it with the stone that he had selected. He's going to do the same thing right now with the delete tool. By selecting the area, you can delete stuff. So that lets you rough stuff out really, really quickly and very easily. And then you can spend all your time on what's really fun, which is the fiddly bits, making it really cool and detailed and just interesting so that other people will want to come check out your stuff. So that's the combination of those different tools. And then last but not least, we wanted to show you the copy and paste feature, because this is really critical for templates. Remember, we're talking about templates with Player Studio. So what you do is you select an area like this, like what Eric just selected, copy it, Control-C, and then you can paste it anywhere in the world. You can rotate it in on any of the 3 axes when you're doing that, just by simply hitting Tab a few times. And then once you have it where you want it, you just paste it down. Now, you don't have to paste it. What you could do is save it. Save it as a template. And if you saved it as a template, then the template is what you sell on Player Studio when you put it up for sale for other players to be able to buy. So once it's up on Player Studio, other people buy the template, which is kind of like a blueprint. And then when you set that down in the world, you have to then fill it up with the resources and stuff. Yeah, I'm excitable, sorry. But I mean, this is like, we went on this tour and we showed all these people, what we basically showed was what we just showed you. And then we turned them loose making stuff, and the crazy stuff that different journalists and people got involved in and made was really, really fun. We have this crazy laptop that has all this cool stuff on it that other people have built. And then Eric built a bunch of stuff too. So while we talk about other stuff, Eric's just gonna go ahead and move forward. Oh, we have one more thing before we stop showing you the tools. We also have props. Now, there's a certain level of detail that you can't get below when you're building with voxels. Eric, really quickly, can you show the smallest size of voxel so they can see what the detail level is? That's the smallest voxel. That's Ted. And it's an in-joke. The smallest size of voxel is about the smallest detail level you can get down to. But we want to be able to do things that are smaller than that. So we have props, like if you wanted barrels or beds or windows or whatever it is. Now, these props are not just supplied by SOE and then you be able to put them down, although you can do that. But be able to make these props, you've got to go out in the world and actually gather resources, take them back to a crafting table, and use recipes that you've found to be able to make these props. And then you create an inventory of props and you can go place them anywhere you want to. So Eric is showing that you can place a prop, you can rotate it any of the 3 axes, and then once you place it down, then you can right click on it and be able to get interfaces to be able to really quickly fine tune it, you know, lay down cutlery on a dining room table or whatever you wanted to do. So it's very, very simple to use. It's very intuitive and well, not complicated, and we're still making the interface a lot better than it is currently. As you're seeing right now, the pieces are separated out. There's some key consolidation we still need to do, pre-alpha, pre-alpha, pre-alpha. But it's getting there, and the power is really there, and the people that have touched it so far have really liked it. So by the time we get to the point where you guys have your hands on it, we expect really cool things. Yeah.
And one of the things you didn't mention there is with the props, you can also scale them up and down so that you can make them fit what you're trying to build.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
You know, we haven't really talked about this a lot either, but when you buy a template from somebody and you put it into your world, you can also paint that afterwards. Mm-hmm. You can't change it in any other way except to add on to it, but you can paint it. Yeah. So you can change the color of something that somebody else has made.
Yeah. All right, so let's let Eric build in the small screen for a little bit now.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit more, and we'll see what he can do in 10 or 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, he can be pretty impressive. Right now it looks like he's heading for a mountaintop. You know, the premium acreage. So lots of coastlines and lots of mountain types in Landmark. Yeah. So anyway, we'll let him build while we talk.
Right. Yeah, so we'll as soon as they switch us back out. There we go. All right, so a couple of questions that came up during that that we did not get to that are going to be added to our FAQ is, what is the NDA situation for alpha closed beta?
You want to take that one, Dave?
Sure. I mean, it's a pretty simple answer. Actually, before I answer it, are we approved on that?
Oh, we got okays today.
We got okays, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So alpha is going to have an NDA. The other phases will not. Probably not. Might.
Alpha
will have an NDA. For sure, alpha will have an NDA. After that, we'll see.
And there is, for those of you who did buy the Trailblazer pack also, there is a confidentiality agreement for participation on the forums. So make sure you go in and take a look at that. It is stickied on the top of the forums that you have access to.
Yep. So do we have any other questions that came out?
There's a few. What is an NDA? For those of you who don't know, an NDA stands for non-disclosure agreement.
There we go.
Which basically means that if you are participating in alpha, you can't take a bunch of screenshots and publish them in your local newspaper or all over the internet or.
And you can't write blogs or articles about it. It's, you know, it's a way for us to make sure that, you know, early phase development stuff doesn't get out there that we have to chase down for years to come.
Right.
You know.
Let's see. I think we handled most of the questions we had on there. A couple people have been asking about combat. I know that you've mentioned.
I mean,
this
it's coming,
once. Yes.
but the likelihood is that it will be slightly after launch sometime. There's just a lot of work to do between now and when we want to get people into alpha. So it'll start coming in a little bit later than that.
Right.
But we're working real hard on it. And well, I've seen all the designs and stuff the guys are doing with AI, and it's pretty slick. So.
Yeah. Somebody just told me I had to stroke my beard, so
Oh,
I did
Oh,
that.
nice, nice.
good.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything
I know.
they say.
I'm aware.
Okay.
That was a
Just
safe
making
one.
sure
That was
we're-
a safe one.
Yeah, don't even
That's
start
okay.
that trend.
Question: Trailblazer. The in-game titles.
Yeah.
Do those stay throughout the phases? That was one of the questions.
Oh yeah, everything you get in, I'm sorry that we weren't expressly clear about that. Everything you get from the packs will persist through all the phases of the game. You will never lose anything that comes with this, except obviously the alpha access doesn't mean anything once we're out of alpha. Right. So you don't lose it, it just doesn't mean anything anymore. Right.
But in essence, the basic rule is if you bought it, you keep it.
Yes.
Period.
Well, while he's building, today's roundtable question was actually about Landmark. So let's talk about that for just a little bit. The question was, in Landmark, what sort of style do you see yourself most likely building in? Do you think you're going to build in a fantasy style, in more sci-fi futuristic, real world, which someone asked on the forums, and yes, by that we do mean like current modern, like I'm going to go build my house, my backyard.
Empire State Building.
The Empire State Building, the Golden Gate Bridge, something like
Right.
that. More historical
That's
genres.
a lot of claims.
Yeah,
It is.
that is a lot of claims. Historical genres, anything from like Wild West to ancient Greece,
Yeah.
or pop culture fan fiction. So those were sort of the 5 options we gave. And when we went to ask this question, what were some of the things that we were?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we as the development team were interested in is where we should put the priority of making certain things. If everybody wants to build fantasy, like if a majority of them do, then we know that we should prioritize, fantasy props and maybe materials and resources that make more sense in a fantasy setting. But if, hey, it's split evenly between sci-fi and fantasy, then we need to make sure that we have some things that facilitate building modern or sci-fi or those kinds of things to make it easier for players. Because, I mean, we've found playing around with these tools, and you can see what Eric's doing on the little screen there, that we can do some pretty crazy stuff with what we already have. And I won't talk about details, but Eric in particular is amazing at using what we already have outside of the box to make something else. To a different genre, a different kind of thing. So we get a lot of bang for the buck in that, but we want to make sure we support it as much as we can.
Oh, I didn't mention, just to be clear, Eric's not an artist. He's the associate producer on the team right now. So he's one of us. He's
mean
he's
Mr.
a player.
Smith? Mr.
He's
Smith?
just sorry, Mr.
He's
Smith.
Mr. Smith.
He's one of those guys who just picked up the tools and found out, oh my God, building stuff is fun. And so he's been doing it a lot. You don't have to focus on him and make him nervous.
And he's really competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, as somebody, Mr. Smith, someone just pointed out that those stairs are not ADA compliant, so if you can get a ramp in there as well, that would be very helpful.
That's pretty easy to do with line tool.
Exactly.
Can you talk about different biomes than just this one?
Oh yeah, sure. We do a lot more than just the green environment that you're seeing here. So we have the typical suspects you'd expect in a game: lava, desert, jungle, temperate. I mean, all kinds of different things. So I know we have swamps. I don't remember what the whole list is, but it's basically all the different environments that you'd expect in a world.
Yeah.
So we have all of those things.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was reading questions when you were listing off the answers. But yeah, we've the ones that we know about are there's going to be desert, there's going to be forest or grasslands, there's going to be plains, mountainous, beaches, tundra.
Oh, and I keep seeing the questions
snow.
of, will there be water? And of course there'll be water. We're just not showing it yet because it's not finished. But once it's finished, we'll show it, and we'll have water. No worries.
Somebody asked if we'll be adding environments as time goes on, and the answer is yes. We talked about the fact that as we develop these things, we'll be rolling them into Landmark to expand the game and evolve it as we move forward.
How big is this world they're saying?
How big is the world?
Well, continents.
Yeah, so they're based on continents, and right now the continent that we're seeing here that Eric is actually building on is 4,000 by 8,000 meters by 1,500 meters in height. Is the playable space for this particular one. We're still working on the details of exactly what they're going to be in the game when we get the balance right. But that is what this area is. So it's very large.
So folks have been asking, and that is the answer to that. How big are the claims? How big are the claims? That is something that is still being worked out.
Yeah.
So we will announce it once we know.
They're cool though.
They're really cool.
The designs and everything like that are really solid. I don't think you're going to have any problems with worrying about neighbors too close and whether or not somebody's going to build over you and all kinds of different things like that. The rules are really tight.
Yeah, I saw a couple of other questions go by that are related to things that they saw Eric doing, which is when you heal or delete things, do you get the resources back? The answer is yes. If it's something you've spent resources on, then you would get them back when you either heal it or delete it. And so that was one of the questions. And then I saw another one which was not related to that, but how do, to clarify how Landmark and Everquest Next cross or coincide. And so we said it a few times, but Landmark is really the stepping stone into Everquest Next, right? Landmark is, think of it as what we're going to use to build Everquest Next. You know, it's all of the tools, all of the pieces, the props, the objects, all those sorts of things. And we're going to make a game that is themed specifically for Everquest Next.
I got to get up on my little soapbox on this one. Landmark is amazing if you put some thought into it, because right now we're showing you the build tools and it's all cool and it's really amazing what you can build and everything like that. The power is amazing, but it's nothing compared to what we're eventually going to do for Landmark. We, as we develop Everquest Next and we develop all the AI systems and the tools that are used to do those, and the way that we lay out scenarios and quests and stories and all the different tools that we use for Everquest Next, we're giving all of those over to the people that are playing Landmark currently along with us. So by the time we're ready to launch Everquest Next, you will have had all of these tools in your hot hands for months. So my full expectation is that there will be worlds of their own in Landmark, and that's why we've started saying that basically Landmark is build your own MMO. Whatever you want to do, you can do. You can do it just like we're doing it. And so we'll roll out more and more features about how that's going to work and stuff like that as we go along. But as we build Everquest Next, you get all the power and you're building your own thing, and hopefully some of you are interested in helping us build the new NORAD.
And some people have asked, does that mean, using this idea of a gateway, does that mean that when Next launches, Landmark's going to go away?
No. Landmark's never going away.
Never going.
It's a game. It's a full game. You know, and we're going to support it just like we would any other game that we release.
Yeah, I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. People that want to be involved in a heroic fantasy world and driving huge story arcs and fending off the dragons and preventing them from destroying the land and all that stuff, they're going to love Everquest Next, all the character progression and all that stuff. Landmark is about imagination and wandering through the world and seeing what other people are doing and building fantastic stuff and being able to create your own stuff. I mean, we've talked all kinds of times about, like, you know, teachers reserve an area so their art students can play in it. People want to do resumes and stuff for the game industry, so they build something inside here. Or even just like a Sunday group that wants to get together and do a D&D adventure using Landmark tools. You could crank out something that was incredibly visual for your group to get in and play every single week if you wanted to. So that's where we're going. Landmark is super cool compared to what you've ever been able to see before in an MMO before, and it's very different than Everquest Next.
If I never want to build anything, will I still have things to do in Landmark?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, great question actually.
Yeah, if you couldn't hear, because the man off in the camera who told us not to show gameplay isn't mic'd. Yes, if I don't want to build anything, is there still something for me to do in Landmark?
Yeah, and there's plenty of things. Exploring the world. You know, we talked about the fact that combat will be coming into the game, definitely. So there's lots of different ways that you can participate in the game and have fun. Maybe you're somebody who goes out and you just explore and collect resources, and then you could sell those to the builders. You know?
If you're an explorer, you've never had a better game than this, because we're not locking you into one world. You can freely move between any of the worlds anytime you want to. So instead of being locked in with a few thousand players, what you're actually locked in, quote unquote, with millions or however many people are playing the game. And that means you can wander through all this stuff. We're constantly spawning up new continents and worlds depending upon the population demands, and players are constantly changing what they're building on their claims, constantly recreating it and creating new imaginations, new cool things. So if you're an explorer, this is your game.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about exploring beneath your feet?
Oh, and of course,
Exploring
there's all
beneath
this
your
stuff
feet.
underneath, yeah.
Beneath your feet.
So you
Yeah.
can dig down through all the subterranean tiers of content and everything like that, which you'll be doing, at least somebody will be doing, because you got to be able to gather the resources
Yeah.
to be able to build with them.
That's how you get to the different tiers where you get the better resources. If you want to make that diamond tower that Dave mentioned earlier in the livecast, you have to go out there and find that stuff.
Now, you don't necessarily have to be the guy that finds it. You could trade with other players or even be able to just, gather it in different ways.
Yeah.
So that's always an option for the people that just don't want to do that. But it's an MMO. So there's lots of different roles that other kinds of players can inhabit and be successful at and become famous for having done. Wow, Eric, what are you doing there? That's pretty cool.
It's a tower. Yeah, one of the other things that I saw a bunch of questions on that we've talked a little bit about previously is about permissions. Like when you have a claim, can you give permissions to other people, or can you have like a guild plot where you can build stuff? And absolutely, when you claim a part of the world, you're going to have control over that. But we have an ability for you to give permissions to other people. You could open it up to everybody if you wanted to. Well, let's be fair. If you wanted to have it destroyed, you could open it up to everybody.
So if Mr. Smith's plot was open right now, then had it permission set, I could potentially run in and knock down that tower.
Yeah, and that was one of the cool things that we saw on some of the press tour, right? There were multiple people building together. The PC Gamer one was a great example of that, where they built a tavern. One of them worked on the outside, one of them did the interior decorating. It was a lot of fun to see how they could work together, and so we'll be able to do that.
Co-op build-outs are rocking.
Yeah,
they're
it's something
really,
we definitely
really
want
fun.
to support.
It's something that we on the community team have even talked about opening up a plot and saying, posting a date and time on Twitter or something and saying, hey guys, we want to come build, everybody come hang out and build with us. So we'll be doing those sorts of in-game group events where we'll invite people to come, possibly do it on a live stream or show it, screenshots on the forum, something like that. So
yeah, we're going to get a baby taste of this real soon because we're opening it up for internal employees soon.
Yeah.
So you get to watch the servers blow up. It's going to be awesome.
I can't tell you how nice it will be not to get the constant pestering of when can I get in, when can I get in, when can I get in from everybody I pass in the hallway.
Terry started coming to work in disguises, baseball hat. So can we talk a little bit? What is Mr. Smith adding over there? We just saw this.
So he put a
moment.
he put a light source basically in the world. It's part of an object, so their lights can be attached to objects, and so he can place them to light the castle that he's building here. You also saw him putting some of the towers. He's selecting parts of the world to delete so that they're like doorways and things like that into the castle tower and everything. But you're seeing how quickly he's able to make changes to the world and to his imaginative construction here.
Yeah, somebody asked me about Kazakh Thule this morning, so I was like, oh yeah, Aztec Ziggurat, I could build that in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It's cool.
Yeah, it's great to see it's just great to see what everybody's doing. Everybody comes up with their cool idea, and then they can just make it reality. And some of them take longer than others. We'll be completely honest. If you're doing something really crazy, you might not be able to do it in an hour. But you're taking on a project that's greater than that. So,
Mr. Smith, are you anywhere near your mech?
Oh.
Is that on this server?
It is, but it's kind of far away.
Forget about it then.
Yeah.
You should see this battle mech he made. It's just amazing.
That
It's
was
really
what I was
cool.
talking about when he used just like raw metal and beer kegs or casks and barrels and turned them into what was a really good representation of a mech.
This character flying.
Yeah, I see a lot of questions about that.
Okay, as far as flight goes, it's basically when you start the game, you have a limited set of tools that you can use. You don't basically have everything on the hotbar. You don't have all your abilities. You unlock those as you progress, as you start to do things in the game. And when you unlock certain elements, you're able to make things. And some of the things that you can make might allow you to fly. So when you start playing the game, you're on Shank's Mirror. You're running around. You're doing all this stuff on foot. But as you gain more stuff, you get more and more abilities, and then you can do stuff like this. We got about 3 minutes left. Why don't we get some questions? So somebody be really clever and give us a cool question. Will there be ladders? That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Make
Probably.
Probably.
One. Have materials, make a ladder.
Well, you can make something. Dave already made something that looks like a ladder in one of his constructions by combining these.
Like the rope ladders?
You created rope ladders out of.
I was building a tree house, yeah. So I was building rope ladders up to the tree house and everything like that. And we just have to make them so that they're actually functional soon, which we'll do.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple questions in here that were pretty good. Anyway,
They're
you find the
going
questions, we'll
really
talk.
fast.
I know. I'm looking at them. I'm trying to figure out customization, customizations for characters. I missed part of that. Sorry, it's going really, really quickly.
I think just about character customization. What?
Yeah, well, I mean,
how do you
yeah.
customize?
So initially, you're going to be able to update you're going to be able to choose what kind of outfits you've got from a limited selection. Your face, your hairstyle, your hair color, your skin tone, obviously your gender initially,
And your name.
and your name. And those will be the beginnings of the character customization. They'll be in there, but that's just at launch.
Yeah, that's the basic stuff.
Yeah, that's the basics.
And then we go from there. And then as you go out in the world, there's all kinds of ways for you to customize and kit out your character as you're actually out there exploring. You can find recipes, for instance, that allow you to create new clothes and stuff.
Yes. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you can't read that. It's going by too fast.
Yeah, no.
I saw one go by. That was really short. Day and night in Landmark. I saw that one. Yes. There will be, we've shown off videos of the day-night cycle. I mean, it's a really easy, simple question.
And I've seen several questions about, can I build on my friend's property? And the answer is yes. Like Terry was mentioning earlier, if you set the permissions so that you trust your friend, fool. But if you trust your friend, then you guys can build together, and that's where the co-op build-out stuff comes. And co-op build-out is an amazing amount of fun. We did all kinds of research before we started this game, and co-op building is one of the most successful things you can do, because when you're out there and you're playing with another player and you're seeing them gather resources and building something alongside you, it's this real-time change that's constantly happening. Every time you log in, something has changed a little bit. There's always a sense of progression and doing something cool, and the more the merrier, to be honest. If somebody's a good foreman, it gets really, really fun really, really quick. And it's always fun to do it solo, but it's great in a group too.
Yeah, and I mean, Eric, if you can pull back a little bit here, we want to, I mean, he's been building for what, about 15, 20 minutes maybe? 10
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is what he was able to create in a very short amount of time. And believe me, it compounds very quickly. Give him another half an hour on this and he'll get all the detail work in there. And this will be unrecognizable from what you see right here.
Yeah, we're not kidding. It only takes a few hours to make something pretty cool, but you can spend days detailing it out and making it awesome.
Yep.
Imagine 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we get into this, it's something that we constantly try to imagine is what will a landmark world be like? I think that originally on day one, what's going to happen is there's going to be a crazy quilt of just random stuff in the world. And then stuff is going to happen. Like, for instance, when I first built that little stone keep that I tweeted out a couple weeks ago, Eric built a huge battle mech next to it. And I thought that was hysterical because there was a giant battle mech attacking my castle. But I could imagine that some people would get upset about it. So we set up mechanisms within the game so that if you don't like your neighbor, you can just package up your claim and move somewhere else. So one of the things that's going to happen is when you open up your map interface, you're going to be able to see like where all the cool science fiction properties are and where all the cool fantasy properties are. And so you can decide where your cool little stone keep should be. So when you find that, basically what you're going to do is go find like-minded people to be able to hang around with and then be able to build a cool community. And so over time, we kind of expect that that's what's going to happen is these little pocket communities will start to grow and grow and grow, and then certain worlds will become well known as being fantasy worlds or science fiction worlds or so forth. And that's awesome.
There it is.
There's the mech.
Eric's mech.
Yeah.
Hey, if I want to be on day one, what do I have to do?
To be in on day one.
Of Alpha?
Yeah.
You have to buy a Trailblazer or an Explorer pack. That's the way to get in on day one. There was actually
My God, all the facetious comments I can't say.
Yeah, there was actually I saw a question go by that I hadn't actually seen before, so I thought I'd bring it up, which is, do you start the game with a part of the world as your own? And the answer is no. You actually have to go out and find a place and claim it. So we're not randomly picking a spot for you and going, well, this is yours because you were player number 7,642, right? You know, it's nothing like that. You actually get in the world just like everybody else, and you go look for something that looks interesting to you, where you want to create something from your imagination.
Right.
So.
And one of the things I noticed that, hello to my fellow community team people who are hanging out in chat. Thanks for being there. But a few people have asked, and the answer went by kind of quickly, is are we going to spotlight player creations and show off things that people create in the world? And of course we are. Ben says no, don't listen to Ben.
Only all the time.
All the time. That
Yes.
I mean, yes, we are so looking forward to seeing what you guys can create and sharing that far and wide with people.
The tagline for Landmark should really be fame and fortune.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the game is about. It's you become famous for the things that you really like. It's very, very easy to be recognized. It's easy to be well known as a creator. We have all kinds of mechanisms in there to allow that to happen. And then of course Fortune is involved with Player Studio, or even just virtual coin, because you can go out and trade a lot of this stuff to other players and stuff for virtual coin. You can sell your resources. You can sell objects you've made. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. So there's lots of ways for people to be able to participate and find the goals that they want, that they think are cool, and then be able to chase those.
Yeah. I just slipped out of my head. I picked up another question that had been going through there, and I was going to. Oh, I know what it was. People were asking about like animated objects in the world, like doors. Can we have a door that's going to open and close? And the answer is yes. Those will be there at launch. You know, so you saw Eric placing an open door. But that's just because that system isn't complete yet.
Yeah. We'll be showing that soon, but yes, you can expect it.
Yes. All right.
Sorry, I got distracted watching.
I know.
I was trying to build.
Yeah, I'm like, what is Eric building? I don't know yet.
It's very,
One final thing. How about crafting? Will people like to craft in this game?
Well, yeah, actually, crafting is critical to the gameplay. So as you go out in the world and you find resources, there's all kinds of different ways that you can craft, different kinds of crafting tables, different recipes that you can use to be able to make cool stuff. You building a boat? Awesome.
I was wondering what he's. I'm like, I never know. It's got to
be the hull of a boat. But there's all kinds of different things that you can craft in different ways that you can craft, and it's absolutely critical to the gameplay of Landmark. You can play without crafting anything, but that means you're probably going to be buying items from other players, because you're going to need weapons and bows and magic wands and all the different things to be able to compete against the monsters and the risks and stuff out there eventually, and as well as different picks and stuff like that to be able to dig down farther into the earth. So even if you're an explorer, you're still going to need some of those tools, and that means you're either going to have to make them or you're going to have to talk to other players and get them from them.
Okay, Eric, what are you building?
Building I don't know.
Oh. Okay, he doesn't know
no
either
idea
yet.
what he's doing.
I was like, it looks like a tanker.
Well, and I think that is something that watching some people who have, like what Mr. Smith is doing right now and just getting their hands on the tools is a lot of times it is. You go in, like the first time that I saw the building, I was like, oh, build a house. And then it slowly evolved into something crazy that was not at all the intention that you started with. So
that happens a lot.
I think that's what's so cool about, about what Landmark will inspire is once you actually get in and start using the tools and seeing the world, what you think you might set out to build is not necessarily maybe where you're going to end up.
Right.
I'd be willing to bet that it isn't going to be where you end up, at least not the first time you build something. So, all right.
I think that wraps up.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks
All right.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week. We will announce any future live streams, of course, on the forums, on our websites, Twitter, Facebook, Google+. Make sure you are tuned in to all of those channels, and we look forward to sharing more with you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Terry Michael, Senior Producer of Everquest Next Landmark. Landmark is a creative social MMO unlike anything we've seen before. We want to do things a little different. We're going to give players access to our alpha much earlier in the development process than we ever have before. We're going to be offering 3 different Founders Packs, the Trailblazer, the Explorer, and the Settler Pack. Let me tell you about each of them. The Settlers Pack is the basic pack. It's going to give you access to the closed beta of Landmark. It's going to have a few things so that you can show off to your friends, like a forum title, an in-game title, as well as a flag that you can place anywhere you want in the world that shows off what you've done and what you've accomplished. We're also going to be giving you a Founder's Pickaxe. Normally when you start the game, you're going to start with just a pick, and it's going to be a very basic one. The pickaxe is actually going to be the top tier 1 pick combined with the highest tier of axe that's going to be available in the game. And this combination of tools is going to be exclusive to all of the Founders Packs. And the next pack is the Explorer Pack. With it, you're going to get access to Alpha and be one of the first people to get in the game and experience Landmark. You're going to get everything that came with the Settler Pack, as well as a few new things. You're going to get the Ring of Bounty, an accessory that allows you to go out in the world, and while you're harvesting, you have a chance to get additional resources. You're also going to get 2 exclusive outfits that you can only get through the Founders Packs. The first of those is the Courtier's Regalia. This is a more traditional fantasy-themed outfit that would look good in any castle or dungeon. And the next one is the Tech Sergeant's gear. This outfit would look more at home on a space station or anything that's more modern. You're also going to get the Explorer Flag, an item you can place on any of your claims in the world to show off that you've been participating in the game since Alpha. We're also going to give you a Mega Pocket. This is an item that will allow you to increase the size of either your personal inventory or your vault inventory, whichever one you feel is most appropriate for you. And the last pack is the Trailblazer Pack. This is for the serious Landmark player. This has everything that you'd get from the Settlers Pack and the Explorers Pack, so you'll be in Alpha from day one. As well, we're going to give you a number of other items. You're going to get a flag that demonstrates that you're a true Trailblazer. You're also going to get the Void Vault. This is going to be a unique appearance item that allows you access to your vault network. An average player, it would take weeks for them to gather the necessary materials and recipes to be able to craft one of these in the game, and you'll have access from day one. You'll also get the Mastercraft Bracer, a must-have for the serious crafter. This accessory will increase your chances to create high-quality items. You'll get the Noble's Regalia, a premium fantasy outfit that people will recognize anywhere you go. And you'll get the Tech Commander's gear, our premium science fiction outfit. You'll get 4 shareable closed beta keys so that you and your friends can play and experience Landmark together. And you'll get your name in the Everquest Next Landmark credits, just like me, only maybe a little lower. In Landmark, finding the part of the world that you care about and that you want as your own is very important. So, as a special perk for Trailblazers, we're going to allow you early access to the open beta. Plant your flag first.
Sony.